All right, it's 9 o'clock. Let's open. Item number 1.01, call to order. As I mentioned, it's 9 o'clock. We're at Central Administration Building Boardroom at 425 East 9th Street, Reno, Nevada. Item 1.02, roll call.
Carrie Pruitt. Charles Aglabat.
Here.
Lacey Keel.
Present.
Catherine Kyler.
Present.
Tammy Golden Bosco. Shauna Baker.
Present.
Danielle Valancourt. Thank you.
My apologies. Item 2.01, approval of the minutes of the March 13, 2026 meeting of the Student Attendance Advisory Committee. Are there any discussion? No? Public comment? Do we have any?
We do not.
All right. So is there any motion to approve the minutes for our March 13, 2026 meeting?
Shauna Baker for the record. I move to approve the minutes of the March 13th, 2026 meeting.
Is there a second?
Lacey Keel for the record. I second.
Okay, discussion of the motion? None? Let's vote. Anybody opposes? Anybody for it? Say aye.
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 Aye. We have the majority. It passes.
None opposed?
None opposed?
Call.
Oh, I did that first. Sorry. I did that first. None opposed?
Okay.
Okay. None opposed?
Motion passed.
Motion passes. All right, item 2.02, presentation and discussion to review Washoe County School District Intervention Department supports for schools to reduce chronic absenteeism in the 2025-26 school year and initial planning for the 2026-27 school year. This is for presentation and discussion only.
Good morning, everyone. Rochelle Murillo for the record. I'm the director of the intervention department. I'm going to share with you a little bit about what we did today. I'd also like to acknowledge for the record, Danielle had, thank you. I always get your name wrong. I'm so sorry. Has joined us too, so welcome. So I just wanted to summarize a little bit about what we did this year. We've been talking about it a lot, but I wanted to sort of give you an idea of how many students we actually served with some of our formal interventions. So every school had an attendance officer and a re-engagement specialist this year that were assigned. So they worked as partners between K through 12. And so each attendance officer and re-engagement specialist had between 10 to 15 schools on their caseload. And they worked with students who were chronically absent. We did try to work towards trying to do some early intervention and work with students that were approaching chronically absent. And then we also worked with severely chronically absent students who were at 20% or more. We worked within the attendance teams, so each school had attendance meetings or actual formal attendance meetings, where we provided support either between Doug and I. We provided some, and our re-engagement facilitators actually provided some professional development to help strengthen those attendance teams so that they could look at data, pull their data, and identify students that were chronically absent, and then decide what kind of interventions were most appropriate for either groups of students or specific individualized students. So we did a lot of work around that. There was, I'm kind of minimizing it, but we did, the re-engagement facilitators and Doug did a lot of work around professional development and supporting school teams. We also did our student attendance review board hearings, and we're going to talk a little bit about that further on in the agenda, specifically about what we did with those. And those were, again, Doug and re-engagement facilitators that led some of that work. So to summarize a little bit of what we did, attendance officers and re-engagement specialists worked to put students who were chronically absent or severely chronically absent on formal attendance monitors. Those are processes that we put into place when we are working specifically with an individual student. So primarily, they're severely chronically absent when we're putting a student on a formal attendance monitor. We ask that schools do interventions before we put students on a formal attendance monitor, just for capacity, so that we can make sure that we are trying to intervene with as many students as possible. We meet with students once a week. We connect with their families once a week. We do a lot of resource brokering. Sometimes they took them to Project 150 for clothes. Sometimes they dropped off food boxes. They did advocacy. So if a student said, hey, I'm really struggling in math, and that's why I don't go to the math class, they would help the student to connect with the math teacher to get additional supports and makeup work. So they did a lot of sort of case management. Those last for 45 days. I think I've talked to this council before. In the past, we used to do 20-day monitors. We looked at the effectiveness of those monitors and didn't see any impact on attendance at 20 days. We realized that those interventions were not long enough, so we expanded them. In the last 2 years, we've been doing 45 days. And so we did see a change in attendance at a 45-day level. Last year, we have not calculated, because we're not done with the school year yet, what our monitors look like for this year. So we'll be able to share that with you at the end of, or the beginning of next school year. We did 687 monitors across our attendance officers. So 140 of those were elementary school, 260 were middle school, and 287 were high school monitors. And so those were 45 days of intensive intervention that attendance officers and re-engagement specialists provided to students across the district. They also did a lot of informal monitoring. We're not done with sort of collecting the numbers on that, but we did a lot of sort of just checking in, talking with students, connecting with them. We're also collecting and should have numbers for you around how many home visits we did, how many transports we did for students that were refusing. So we'll be able to provide that for you once school is completed. So for our upcoming meeting, we'll be able to provide you what those numbers look like. And then we also did many different attendance meetings with families, particularly. And then we had a goal of trying to connect students with a trusted adult at their school site level. So we are not there all the time. So we need to make sure that a student has someone at a school site level that they can connect to when they need it and when they're at school on a daily basis. So we work towards that as well. When we work through SARB, and we'll hear a little bit more about what those SARB hearings look like and the numbers here soon, and we were not successful with getting a student to engage and improve attendance. Sometimes we do have to opt into a truancy citation. When a student is cited for truancy, then that referral is sent up to Jan Evans, and they process that for a status offense, and they can sometimes be assigned community service or other sorts of classes. They work with an informal case manager when those truancy citations are issued. And we issued 79 citations this year. So I'm going to stop and see if there's any questions.
How many were given last year? Sorry, Danielle Valancourt for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not bring that, but I can give that to you for next time.
Okay, just for a comparison.
Yeah, for comparison, yeah.
Charles Naglubot for the record. Do those informal citations become formal? Do they become formal cases?
Not typically, so it depends on if there's other, and I'll let Kat chime in because she's going to be more of an expert than me if she wants to. But typically, formal citation or formal interventions or probation, there has to be other more severe charges for a student. So other things other than truancy. So students are never put on formal probation for simply truancy citations.
Catherine Kyler for the record. That is accurate. We do have kids who have delinquency offenses that sometimes also have truancy issues as well, but we have never placed a youth on formal probation or supervision just because of truancy referral.
Thank you.
Shauna Baker for the record. First and foremost, kudos to your team. It sounds
you.
like you guys are making leaps and bounds in revisiting processes, and you're doing very well, so thank you for that. After the 45-day intervention, or if a student should move out of an area of a designated monitor,
Right.
how do we re-engage? You know, for the word recidivism isn't necessarily the word, but you know, when the kids fall off or we can't find them, or who do they do you transfer to a different monitor?
We do, yeah. So sometimes so the answer is sometimes if let's say an attendance officer has a strong relationship with the student, they might follow them to a different school. Or they might transfer them to the other attendance officer or re-engagement specialist that's assigned to that school.
Danielle Valancourt for the record. What if they then become homeschooled?
Once they're homeschooled, they are no longer in our I guess jurisdiction, so we no longer interact with a student when they're homeschooled. Okay, so focus for next year, we continue to have 10 attendance officers and 7 re-engagement specialists. But we've been asked by leadership to shift our focus a little bit. We will not be interacting as much with elementary schools. It's primarily going to be for extenuating circumstances. And we've been asked to focus our efforts on middle and high school. And the primary reason for that is when we look at our data, we see large spikes in chronic absenteeism at some of those transition grades, 6th grade. Oh, someone's on. Oh, there's Tammy. Okay. Hi, Tammy. I see Tammy is here for the record.
Hello.
So primarily 6th grade is where we see those large spikes in chronic absenteeism, and then we see them again at 9th grade. So we'll be focused on 6th and 8th grade, 9th, 10th, and then also our seniors for the second semester. Our seniors are the most chronically absent and the most severely chronically absent grade level in our district. And so for our second semester of the school year, we'll be focused on those students as well. So not that we can't work with other students at other grade levels in middle and high school, but those are sort of those students that we're really going to target. So for the first of the year, we usually do lots of home visits for kids that don't show up to school, but that are enrolled in that school. So we call them no-show home visits. And then we're really shifting on supporting those students in those transition grades. If we put a student on a formal attendance monitor in, let's say, 6th grade, and they have an elementary sibling, then we can work with that elementary school student. But we're not going to be a part of the attendance meetings at elementary schools any longer. Any questions?
Lacey Keel for the record. Will they still be having ESARB?
Yeah, we will continue ESARB. Okay, that's it for me.
Okay. Agenda item 2.03, presentation and discussion to review the hearing results of the SARB, or Student Attendance Review Board, for the 2025-26 school year. Doug, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Doug Taylor. I'm the attendance manager for the Washoe County School District. Nice to see you all today. I wanted to share some preliminary data with you with regards to ESARB and SARB for this year. So if we can go to the next slide, please. Just a quick review. We've talked about this before, but what is SARB and ESARB, right? I know most of you are familiar with this, but I just wanted to kind of review this quickly. These are our attendance review boards. They're mandated by NRS. We do these for all students in grades 1 through 10. The purpose there is for us to identify barriers, right, when there are barriers, and try to figure out what those barriers are, and then put a written plan in place to support those barriers. SARB and ESARB are meant to be a Tier 3 intervention that happen following site-based interventions that did not have an effect, following an attendance monitor by an attendance officer or a re-engagement specialist that didn't have the desired effect. Then we hold these SARB hearings. We bring the parents in. We have community members, agencies, where we try to really identify barriers and deal with that plan. I have that last bullet point there. SARB and ESARB are not punitive. We don't assign consequences. I think I made the joke last time about I have no SARB jail. So just things to keep in mind. So with that in mind, if we can go to the next slide. This is what our data kind of looks like this year. As we've talked about before, we do have our 3 re-engagement facilitators. All 3 of them are here today, and some of them will be sharing some things with you shortly. Here's where we were. So we had 58 cases that carried over from the 24-25 school year. Following a SARB, we provide 45 days of case management with our re-engagement facilitators, which is similar to what attendance officers and re-engagement specialists do, but at a more intensive level, and working a lot more with community agencies. If those SARB and ESARB hearings happened toward the end of the year last year, that 45 days then carries into the start of the following school year. So 58 of those ended last year and carried into this school year. We opened 131 new cases in the 25-26 school year, so that was the number of SARBs and ESARBs that resulted in an open case and 45-day case management this year. We anticipate that 56 cases are going to carry over into next year. There will be a few of those that are closing this week or next week, but for the most part, those 56 that are still open are going to remain open and will carry over for at least a few weeks up to, a couple of months, depending on when the SARB or ESARB happened at the beginning of the next school year. 133 cases, total cases, were closed following 45-day case management periods this year. Of those cases that closed, we had 88 of those where students showed improvement during their case management period. So as Rochelle mentioned before, right, we were aiming for let's try to find those barriers, let's get this plan in place, and let's really support and get good attendance happening. 88 of those 133, that happened. In 45 of those cases, unfortunately, we were still not able to show improvement even in this way, and a lot of those are where those citations then come into play. If we can go to the next slide. When we look at the students that did improve, though, as a result of case management, these are kind of our data points. And so we saw an average of 4.27% improvement in chronic absenteeism. We also saw about an 11.49% improvement in average daily attendance. Now, those two numbers look different because they're calculated differently. Chronic absenteeism is always calculated from the first day of school. So we look at from day 1 to whatever day case management ended, what did absenteeism look like for the whole school year. The district target is a 3% improvement to chronic absenteeism for schools across the year. So we exceeded that goal. Average daily attendance can be calculated differently and can be calculated based on a period of time. And so when we look at average daily attendance in this case, what we're comparing is what did average daily attendance look like on the day prior to the SARB hearing versus what did it look like during the 45 days of case management. And that number looks substantially better, an 11.49% difference in attendance prior to SARB and case management versus during the period that case management was happening. As Rochelle mentioned, one of our goals this year was to really connect students with trusted adults at their schools, because in the past, one of the things that we found was that we saw these big improvements while the case management was going on. But then if they didn't have something to continue after case management ended, we would sometimes see students fall right back into the bad patterns again. And so our facilitators and our SARB hearings all focused on making sure that we identified at least one, and in some cases more than one, trusted adult. That could be a teacher, it could be a counselor, it could be an administrator. In some cases, it was a support personnel, lunch staff, or somebody else that the student already kind of felt like, hey, I've been talking to this person, I have a connection. And students had a strong voice in who do you want your person to be? In almost every SARB hearing, we would ask the student, hey, who is your trusted person? Do you have a trusted person? If they didn't have one, which happened a lot, then we would work with them to identify one. If they had one, then we would try to strengthen that relationship. So really, really successful in terms of data where we were with our SARB hearings. Are there questions at this point?
Shauna Baker for the record. Thank you, Doug. Out of the 45, is there a continuous string that you find that is occurring that doesn't allow for re-engagement requiring citation? Or is this, obviously every student's an individual, but what seems to be the barriers, and how are we addressing those metrics potentially?
Frequently, it's family engagement. One of the things we're going to be working on once the year has closed is looking at those where we didn't improve and trying to look for some patterns. So I can tell you anecdotally that sometimes when we hold SARB hearings, families don't come. We're not law enforcement. I don't have a way to force anybody to do anything, right? But if the family comes and engages with us and works with us, we're much more likely to be successful than if we have a no-call, no-show with a family that doesn't come. And then our facilitators sometimes take 3, 4, 5 weeks into the case management before we can even contact the families. You know, we try, but that's probably our biggest barrier for the ones where we don't see improvement is lack of family. Okay, if you want to go to the next slide, that I think will close out this item for you, Charles, and then this slide will be for your next item.
So the next item is 2.04, presentation and discussion of celebrations and successes of the work of re-engagement facilitators who completed the student advisory review board process for 45 days of case management.
All right.
I believe that is going to be by Hector and Adam.
It's going to be, it's actually going to be me to start things out. So Rochelle and I wanted to take a moment and just kind of celebrate some things that happened this year. We have an amazing team that's joined us here today. You can see their names and when they started with the district up there on the screen. These folks work really hard to try to work with kids and some of our most challenging cases and families. And so we just wanted to share a few things. Nisa, would you stand up, please? Nisa Butler is a truly caring person who builds positive and professional relationships with the students and families she supports. She is an expert on childhood trauma and a strong advocate for students who are struggling with a variety of adverse childhood experiences. She advocates strongly for students and has made a real difference in the lives of so many kids.
Nisa has earned the recognition and respect of her colleagues, the schools she serves, and most importantly, the students and families who she has helped. Thank you, Nisa, for all you continue to do for our district, our department, and our students and families. You are truly appreciated. Anna, can you sit down? Sit up, please. Stand up. Gosh, I cannot talk. I have not had enough coffee. Anna Lamelli has been with the district since 2001. She and I actually started together in the district. And it would be impossible to ever truly measure the positive impact that she has had on so many of our students. She works tirelessly to ensure that every student she works with feels connected and supported. Anna works with her students to truly understand the core reasons behind absenteeism, struggles, and to help to make sense of their own barriers and to reduce or eliminate them, helping students to understand how their choices will impact their lives.
Anna is also one of the most dedicated and devoted educators it has been our privilege to work with, and her support in developing resources, measuring our impact, and improving the practice of our team has been invaluable. Thank you, Anna, for all your contributions. You are truly appreciated. Hector, would you stand up for us? Hector Garcia serves as an amazing example and role model for not only his students, but for our department as a whole. Hector works hard to strengthen our community, not only within the department, but also with many community agencies and within the system of higher education. Hector holds a Certified Family Life Educator credential, and while working with Washoe County School District, Hector has also worked with the Boys and Girls Clubs and the Strengthening Families program, teaches courses at UNR and JTNN, and works with his church in Carson City to strengthen the community.
He uses his own lived experiences to build strong and professional relationships with students and families, and to both relate to them and to show them that our choices determine our futures. Thank you, Hector, for all your tireless efforts. You are truly appreciated.
Rochelle doesn't know I'm going to do this next one. Finally, I would be remiss if I didn't also recognize our department leader, Rochelle Murillo. Rochelle is truly a champion for kids and families. She works tirelessly to provide our entire team with direction and support, and encourages us all to always consider the needs of students and families first, while still balancing a true concern for all of our staff members as individuals. Her leadership models kindness, caring, thoughtful decision-making, and strength of character. None of our successes would be possible without her guidance, her leadership, and her help and support. Thank you, Rochelle, for everything you do to support our entire team. You are truly appreciated.
Thank you.
I'd now like to invite Hector to join me up here to share some stories with you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Hector Garcia, and I work with the Intervention Department. As you saw, I'm one of the case managers that work in the department. With all the nice celebration, I don't know if I have much to say now. But I'm here today to share a couple of stories of students who have come to SARB. The first student that came to SARB with her dad in the first week of April, the student had missed 44 days of school when she came to SARB. After the SARB meeting, I met with the student and her father, and we set up some goals. One of the goals was that the student could not have access to her cell phone after 9:30 p.m., since Dad explained that she stayed up late on her cell phone. In addition, the student was not going to have access to her cell phone during the weekends until attendance was improved. At first, the student was hesitant to agree to the expectations, but she agreed. During the case management, I met with students consistently, weekly, and went over attendance goals. The student only missed 2 days for medical reasons during the case management, and she improved 6% of chronic absenteeism. I built rapport with the student, and now the student is requesting for me to case manage for the next school year. She sent me a text the other day, and she says, "Hector, you inspired me to become a better version of myself. You saw the good in me that I did not see, and I am forever grateful." I have a couple also students who graduated from high school that also had some notes. One of them had to write something with her senior seminar about her experience with school. And she sent this to me, but she wrote, "I have been at the school for 4 years. The first 2 years was the worst. But if I had not been for the struggle, I would not have met the truancy officer who motivated me and encouraged me. Hector promised to keep track of me until the day I walked the stage. Even though he got promoted to another position, he still checked up on me occasionally, and I thank Hector for seeing potential in me when I did not." And my last student from North Valleys High School, she just sent me this about a month ago, and she said, "Hi, Hector, I don't know if you remember me, but you were one of the people that helped me graduate. I wanted to thank you for everything you did for me when I was struggling with my schoolwork and was barely able to attend my school. Thank you for pushing me and being the only one to believe in me." The purpose to share these stories is not to brag about what I do with the district, but what the department is actually doing and how we're impacting kids in the district. I can assure you that if each one of my colleagues come up front, they will have many of these stories that they can share about the different things that we're doing for our community, and we love what we do. I enjoy what we do. I tell my wife that this is not a job for me, it's just a calling to help people succeed in life. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you, Hector, and thank you to our whole team.
Thank you, Hector. Any questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on, item 2.05, introduction of the new student attendance advisory council member, Dr. Tammy Golden Bosco. I believe Rochelle is going to introduce her.
Yeah, so we just wanted to take an opportunity to introduce you to our newest committee member, Dr. Tammy Golden Bosco. Tammy works in our counseling department, and she does some of her own work around attendance. We are incredibly grateful to have her on our committee. And I wanted to put you on the spot, Tammy, because I didn't get a chance to touch base with you to see if there was anything you wanted to do to introduce yourself to the larger committee as you come on.
Well, thank you very much for the very kind and thoughtful introduction. Tammy is just fine for an address, and I am honored to be part of this unique and very useful committee to help ensure that students are engaging in the privilege of public education. I work as a counseling specialist currently in the Washoe County School District Section 504 department, where I incur many cases throughout the school year at all levels of education, and some charter schools as well, with attendance issues and some barriers that are sometimes inherent with medical or mental health considerations. And therefore, we meet as a team to sometimes discuss what kinds of accommodations in the general ed mainstream setting can be put into place to ensure we overcome those barriers as best we can. So I do experience and have information about students with attendance issues that are possibly more than simply sometimes decisions not to attend school. There's sometimes medical or mental health considerations as well. I also work with the violence intervention program on Thursday nights with students who are sometimes identified for consequences, shall we say, for behavior difficulties at school, and they have received an infraction, but violence intervention classes help me kind of work directly with some students who often, sometimes struggle in school, and attendance is already not great in many cases. Sometimes it is, and I can have those meaningful one-on-one direct conversations with students and their parents at those meetings as well. I am happy to be here and be part of decision making for the next year, and I look forward to working in person with all of you. I apologize for not attending today. I had 2 meetings at the same time, and so thank you all for allowing me to join online.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, 2.06, nomination and election of Student Attendance Advisory Committee Chair for the 2026-27 school year. And is there anybody who wants to nominate someone?
Well, I would just say this particular position is important to this committee. We're at the end of our terms for some people. Everybody is returning, so thank you for everyone who is returning. The chair runs the meetings, and then they also work with us to develop the agenda. And so that's the primary role, just so that you're aware. Carrie's done it, I think, for 2 years, and she'd like to step down now. And so if anyone's interested, this is your time to shine.
No taker? No takers? I'll take it. So, okay, any discussion? Public comment?
There's no comment, but I think someone has to nominate or put a motion forward to elect him as a chair.
Okay, anyone who wants to put a motion to elect Charles Aglabat to a chair, for the chair position of the committee?
Danielle Valencourt, for the record, I motion Charles Aglabat for the position.
Any second?
Lacey Keel for the record, I second.
Any discussion on the motion? None? Sure? Okay, we'll vote. Anybody, all in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Welcome. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you. All right, next item is 2.07, nomination and election of Student Attendance Advisory Committee Vice Chair for the 2026-27 school year. Who would like to nominate or put a nomination first, right?
So the role of the vice chair is exactly what Charles is doing. When the chair is not here, then the vice chair is the person that runs the meeting. And with his vacancy, we now have, or his movement to the chair, now we have a vacancy, so.
who would like to put their names into the ring?
Shauna Baker, for the record, I will take the position if somebody's not willing to nominate.
Okay, Chief Baker? Anyone else?
I second that motion. Oh, I have to do the motion.
Yeah.
Danielle Valencourt, for the record, I motion for Chief Baker to take vice chair. Is that the correct terminology?
Yes.
Okay.
Any second?
Catherine Kyler, I second the motion.
Public comment?
There is none.
Discussion? Any discussion? No? All right, let's vote. Anybody in favor?
Aye.
All in
Aye.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations, Chief Baker.
Thank you, Chief Baker.
All right, item 3.01, any public comment?
There is none.
Okay, thank you. All right, 3.02, announcement of next meeting. That will be September 11, 2026. I believe that is also a Friday. Yep, it's a Friday. Okay. And 3.03, meeting adjourned. Adjournment of the meeting.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.